All right. We're here with a special edition of a Golf WRX Radio podcast. We've got Zack Oakley from Callaway. Thank you for taking the time,
Hey,
man.
appreciate it. Thanks for coming out.
Hey, it's a great time because it's a special time. And this is a product that I think the Golf WRX community has been beating down the door, wanting, ever since Apex Pro and Apex CB, Apex MB were released. We finally now have the Apex. And I know we've been waiting a long time. And it was interesting. We were talking before the show, and you kind of mentioned why this took a little longer. And this isn't an iron that you guys were going to rush out just because the timeline said you should. But this is, the brand new. And kind of give us a little story. Why isn't this something that came out when the Apex Pro kind of came out? Because I think everybody expected both, and we only got one.
Yeah, I mean, I think, obviously, I know everyone's been waiting for this. We've been waiting for this too. I think, it's been 3.5 years since we launched Apex 21, and we were talking earlier about it. And it's the cool thing about the Apex brand is it is kind of the crown jewel of the Callaway portfolio. It's the best. It's our best. It's our best in innovation. All those things, and we're not going to launch something if we don't feel like the product's ready. And so, really, honestly, that's it. We were on cadence to be, last spring or last fall. But we just weren't we didn't have it exactly where we wanted it. And I think everyone will be happy we waited because the performance, the look, everything about it is, we did get it where we wanted it eventually.
and also something special, 10th year anniversary of Apex. So the first one was 2014. I played those irons. I loved them. They were great irons. And since then, we've seen a lot of great ones. I mean, from 16 to all those. And now we have, again, we're the original Apex. We only had one model.
Yep.
But then we did branch out. And previously, we had Apex DCB, standard Apex. And we're going back to that a little bit here, right? We've got two different models in the standard Apex. We have Ai200, Ai300.
Yep.
And as everyone knows, Callaway deep into AI. It's been kind of a fixture of a lot of products over the past few years. AI is big into this iron, too.
Yeah, it's a core part of our design process. Everything we do, driver to putter now, right, is using AI in some way. And I think we were talking about it. People think, oh, it's a marketing buzzword. What are they actually doing? Trust me, before I worked here, I probably would have thought the same thing. And now that I see how it's actually used, it is pretty remarkable. And it is kind of like any of the other AI tools out there, whether you're using ChatGPT or whatever, different Mid-Journey or whatever. It's all about the prompt.
Yep.
So if you don't know how to use it, it's not really going to help you. And I think that's where we set ourselves apart in terms of using AI and bringing it into clubs like Apex is using that, just knowing how to use it and having engineers that all they do is work on AI and how the machine learning process goes.
Yep. So we have, like I said, AI 200, 300, and kind of the biggest change when you look at these is hollow body design.
Yep.
So before DCB and regular Apex were both kind of standard cavities, but now we're going full hollow body. What's kind of the advantage? Because we've seen, I think, irons in a whole over the entire industry have gone more to this design.
Yeah.
What is kind of the advantages to going to hollow body for something like the Apex in both these models?
Yeah. So hollow body in general, I think, is I don't want to say cosmetic, but they look beautiful, right? Yep. Cavity backs tend to, depending on the player. If you're a better player, you typically don't want to look at something that's a little bit bigger, more offset, all that type of stuff. So there's some perimeter weighting type stuff that happens in a cavity. I think in a hollow body, you can do a lot of that internally. So you can make it look really nice while having a lot of that technology that you would typically see in a cavity back. Where I think this is kind of interesting is one of the big stories for this new Apex is feel.
Yeah.
Moving to a forged body and a forged face, which is not exactly how this category works.
Yep, exactly.
A lot of irons in this space are forged face, cast body. Reason you do that is there's some stability in the body section, and then you get that forged face and the feel there. But going to both, there is some challenges. And I think it does help us moving to the hollow body because it does give us a little bit more stability in the body, even though we're in a softer material.
Yep. So we've got basically a body, have a forged face, and then internally, especially when you look inside these things, there's a lot of kind of complex geometry and stuff like that that's hidden by this backing or built into the back of the club or the frame of the club. But then also inside there, We've got some material for increasing kind of the better sound, better
Yep.
feel, and as well kind of changing the weight. But we'll get into kind of I guess the body first. I mean, when you look in this thing, definitely a lot of weight moved around. I mean, out the toe, there's a big section.
Yep.
You know, kind of describe like what is all this doing in here? Why do we have, you know, kind of instead of just having kind of a flat back in here and making it simple, what is all this stuff doing in there?
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of it is, and you can see there's a ton of weight over here on the toe side, and that is all for CG purposes. You know, especially when you have this giant clunky thing over here in the hosel, it just wants to yank the CG towards the heel, and most golfers don't hit it in the heel, right? You don't want to. You want to hit it in the center of the face.
Yep.
And so that is one of the ways we do that is through the internal structures, and you know, getting the CG exactly where we want it so that when you hit it in the center of the face, you're not having any of these weird misses left or right.
Yep. And then we get into the face, which is a familiar material, but doing it a different way. 455 Carpenter steel, which I feel like has been used even by Callaway over the years.
Yeah.
But you didn't forge it before. Or at least not regularly, it seems.
Well, we have forged it, but it typically is used, we've used it on hybrids, we've used it on fairway woods. We actually had this in the Paradigm iron, which had a lot of ball speed.
Yeah,
one of the key differences, though, is, you know, you talk about Paradigm, and I think we even recognize that Paradigm it was great iron, nuclear.
Yep.
But from a spin perspective, I think for this to be an Apex branded product, we needed to improve there. And so the spin consistency was a huge focus, and, you know, bringing in what we started with this year, the AI smoke irons, we had the AI Smart Face, which was using AI and using the inputs of real golfer swings to kind of help miss mitigation and tighten dispersion, improve spin and launch, all those things. Bringing that into the Apex family, that was huge. That's where we were able to go to a faster face without having the penalty of spin inconsistencies.
Yeah, and I know spin consistency, I mean, when drivers came out, we started to kind of look at that back, and I feel like kind of the last of the Epic into the Rogue ST. I mean, we started talking about spin consistency, but now it is kind of down to the irons.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is, as you mentioned, making those misses better.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if you hit that one kind of high off the toe and it just has no spin and it goes out there, or, you know, you kind of hit it left and it gets pulled and all of a sudden it's 10 yards further and it's over the green.
No one wants to hit their 7-iron 185 yards if they're expecting to hit it 170 yards. That's not good.
No, exactly. But it's interesting to see that that's now all, you know, moved down where we thought it was kind of a wood problem.
Yeah.
Or not problem, but a wood issue to solve.
Sure.
And now we're kind of solving the same issues in the iron world.
Yeah.
Which is pretty
100%.
cool. And then the sole design, really familiar to me because I thought the Apex Pro and Apex MB, CB had a really kind of cool sole design with pre-worn leading edge, a little bit of trailing edge relief. We've brought that over to the Apex Ai200 and 300 as well.
Yep.
So, I mean, turf interaction should be really good with both of these models also.
100%.
And, I mean, I know a lot of players when they pick up, you know, something like the Ai300, which is a little bit bigger, it doesn't have a crazy wide sole.
No.
Like, we're not looking at a big old shovel. You've compacted a lot of tech, a lot of speed, a lot of distance into a pretty small package.
And that is one of the things that we really focused on was obviously feel, but, you know, kind of reinventing the look, going to a more streamlined hollow body, refining a lot of the shapes. So like refining offset, top line, thicknesses on the sole. We want this to be something that, you know, a golfer is proud to have in their bag.
Yeah.
And we know that a discerning player could be picking these up. And so we want to make sure that we have good shapes.
So Ai200, which I've been holding the 300 the whole time now, but Ai200, kind of talk about the golfer. I mean, looks like it's going to fit a wide range. Like you're going to see single-digit players in this, handicap-wise. You're going to see players at the higher end handicap. I mean, I feel like that's going to be kind of it's called the bread and butter iron.
Yeah,
the one that's going to fit
100%.
just a wide range. Kind of why is that? Why is it a size thing, the speed thing? But it's going to fit a ton of people.
Yeah, I mean, I think this iron here really is, I mean, this is the iron that kind of created the player's distance category.
Yep.
It's the iron that looks like a better player iron, but has game improvement technologies. From there, we've kind of branched out in both directions, right? So, but, you know, this iron really is going to be for that player that, you know, maybe used to be a good ball striker, doesn't have the same time that he did in practice, got kids, full-time job, all that stuff. But, you know, they want to look at something that is familiar, and that's what this is really going to fit. Or for that other player that's coming from a game improvement product that's like, hey, like I'm getting better, I'm practicing, I want something that's kind of get me to that next level without having to jump to an Apex CB or something like that, right? And so that's what that's for. And then, like I said, we kind of branch off from there. We can kind of move it in either direction, where you get Apex Pro, for instance, where similar platform but slightly smaller shape, a little bit better player. On the Ai300, moving that towards the game improvement sector, right? So a little bit more offset, a little bit thicker top line, a little bit wider sole, something that's really for that player that's in that game improvement sort of space, but they want to play something that looks like a tour iron and feels like a tour iron.
Yeah, and that's one thing, like you said, look and feel, because I feel like, especially with the Ai300, that's the one compromise people unfortunately sometimes have to make when they get into that category of iron, that they typically don't maybe have the best sound and feel.
Yeah.
You know, they're a little louder, they're a little firmer, and now having an Ai300 where it is still, the hollow body, both pieces are forged, you still get good feel, you still get that muted sound. Like I said, that's something that you just unfortunately had to compromise with before. Now you don't.
No,
so you get the distance, the forgiveness, all that out of that one iron, which is pretty special. And then also the look of it. Like you said, that between these and then making the transition down to say Apex Pro, you can make a massive combo set from Ai300 long irons to be easy to launch, go a long way, move into the mid irons of Ai200, and then if you really felt kind of saucy, throw a little, Apex Pro in the short irons in there, because they do blend together really, really well.
Yeah, they have a similar design language for sure.
Yeah, I mean, not only from a dress, but even from the back. I mean, when I first pulled this out, because I got to hit these on the range before, we recorded this. When these were sat there, that's the first thing I thought was like, wow, they look just like the Apex Pro. Yeah, and that's kind of cool that that you have a look that is that kind of uniform, but it doesn't make somebody feel like, oh man, I've got the big one. Yeah, correct. It looks just as sleek and just as classic as the other. Same, similar movable weights. So I mean, that kind of stuff is really cool to see, and I think a lot of golfers will like that. Yeah, they don't have to sacrifice that's the big one. And
that was definitely the design intent. I mean, these are for. We know that this is not for a tour player. Yeah, but we want to make. I mean, we're golfers too. Like I want to feel like I'm playing the same iron as Xander Schauffele, but I can't. So not there. So I think that's really the design intent, is to make them look sleek, look cool, just like what our tour pros are playing, but in something that us mere mortals can handle, right?
Yep, exactly. So between Ai200, 300, I mean, on paper and very general, because I mean, everybody, if you're going to go get a set of irons, you should go get fit. Yep. I mean, that's the best way. If you're going to invest in something like this, definitely get the right one for you. Between head, shaft, lie angles, all that. But I mean, compared to 200, 300, are we? Is a player typically going to see a little launch and spin difference between the two?
Yeah, so I think on the Ai300, it's still hollow body, but it does have a little cavity here. It's going to help us get the CGs a little deeper. So for someone who struggles with launch, maybe you just hit it really low, or you just need to get the ball up in the air, the 300 will be a little bit, that would be a better fit for that player. If you're someone who's like looking for distance in a more compact shape, don't necessarily struggle activating the face or struggle getting the ball up, 200 is your guy.
Yep. So pretty exciting to see 10th anniversary of Apex, and we get these two. But then not only that, we get a kind of special third iron thrown in there. Yes. That I don't think anybody expected, because it's something way, way different than you've kind of done before. There's a little bit of we've done it before, but very differently. So we have the Apex Thai Fusion as kind of the surprise iron in the launch. And we've seen Callaway do titanium irons before. We had the Hawkeyes and some other ones. But this is totally different in terms of construction of what you did back then. That was a little kind of round face insert. Yeah. That was it. This is like complete face cup, totally redesigned.
Yeah, the Apex Ai Fusion's been one that's been extremely fun to work on and see it come to life. Started 3-4 years ago, where they started writing down how would we construct an iron if we wanted to really get the most out of performance. And I think it was perfect when hey, we're looking at the cycle, and it's like, hey, Apex 10th anniversary coming up. Yep. We're going to be launching Ai200, Ai300, and this was just a really cool way to show off our really the innovation leadership that Callaway R&D has. And so it is a first-time construction. There have been titanium irons out there, but no one has ever designed one like this. And so much so that we had to actually go look at other industries and figure out how to actually make this thing, because these two materials, it's got a forged body and a forged titanium face, they don't want to come together.
They
There's
just weld them like a regular
and
two pieces of steel.
there's other ways that companies have done it, but the problem with those is that they actually kind of take away some of the efficiencies you gain from titanium. And our team had a pretty specific vision of where they wanted this one to be and how they want it to come together. So set out on this long journey to, really work with suppliers, figure out how to make it. How do we make it in mass quantities? And that's where you get this guy.
Yeah, and then the interesting one, it's got a cool dark finish to it. But the other thing too is usually you hear these stories like that hey, we had to come up with these new technologies, really pushing the envelope, and usually that iron is more near the Ai300 or beyond. It's meant for ultimate forgiveness, super high launch, whatever. This one's a little interesting because it's a little bit at the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
When you set this down, and I was the one when I heard the rumblings about this iron, I thought it would be a bigger iron meant for that player who just wants max forgiveness, whatever. This is actually a little bit smaller, a little bit more compact, kind of geared towards the slightly better golfer, maybe a little lower handicap, but like I said, just more compact look. And I was kind of shocked to see that. What kind of made you go that direction as opposed to the other?
Yeah, I think, well, you look back at, how long this really took to put together, and our CEO, Chip, he's pretty involved in the product stuff. And I think he, in all honesty, he wanted something that he was going to be able to play.
Selfishly.
And I'm glad we went that direction, because I think I'll be looking at something like this too. But yeah, I mean, I think it is really cool, because the better player, like you said, like a lot of times these concept type products are geared towards more mass market. But I think one of the really cool things about this is that the benefits of the titanium and the construction that we're using, yes, they would help on a more forgiving product. But it is one of the few constructions where we can actually make some pretty huge performance gains for a better player.
Yeah.
And so what you'll see on this is it's going to have a super fast face. The sweet spot's going to be much larger than a steel face would be. The feel is, I still haven't found the right word to describe it yet. It feels kind of like a one piece, but there's definitely more explosion to it. And so you definitely got to go try it. You got to go hit it to really understand what I'm talking about. But it feels great. And then the spin consistency that we're seeing due to the tide, due to the AI stuff that we're doing, it's more akin to like a CB iron. When we tested it, the spin consistency is like a tour iron. So you got explosion and ball speed like a game improvement type product in a shape that's made for a better player, the feel a better player expects, and the spin consistency a better player expects. It's a home run. It's a unicorn. I think you'll see a lot of players that could fit into Ai200 gravitate towards it. I think it'll still kind of span a broader audience, but yeah, for that 5 handicap that's looking for a little help, wants something that looks good, it's gonna be a fun one to see. Yeah,
it was interesting because you mentioned sound and feel, and I got to hit him before we came here and got kind of the lowdown, all the tech on it. And yeah, you're right. When I heard this, it's titanium and titanium face, you think of titanium fairway woods and even drivers a little bit, and you go, okay, it's going to have this tingy type sound, maybe feel to it, and it doesn't. I mean, honestly, I feel like it's extremely soft, and it almost has a very low pitch, almost knock, like it's kind of like almost wood batted. I mean, it's hard to describe, like you said, but it is totally different than you think. Because 100%. Again, you would think that the titanium, because you've been kind of geared that way through golf, of titanium clubs have been primarily woods, and they have a different sound.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing, like you said, the speed on it and all that, but you also had the interesting face on there where you mentioned also that it was almost more familiar to make this because of how familiar you are with doing AI faces with woods. You've been doing it so long, and it was actually kind of, I wouldn't say easy, but it was kind of a more traditional way for you guys to kind of do an iron in that way.
Yeah, no, I think obviously we've been using AI on drivers for fairway woods and hybrids and all that stuff for a long time. But doing it in steel, we kind of had our real first breakthrough this year on AI Smoke. That's a 17.4 face. But yeah, moving to titanium, where the team's got a lot more experience, they know how the material is going to react. That definitely helped a lot.
Yeah, and like I said, it is a really good set. And all the way from, I was able to just pull the 4-iron out of the bag and just hit that really easily. I was able to 7-iron. I mean, it was really impressive how playable these are, because when you set them down, they're not intimidating, but they are smaller than you think.
Yeah.
And like you said, pack kind of that punch that forgiveness into this size package. You don't see that a lot in golf. There's
No.
not too many irons that would be able to deliver something like that.
No.
So, but yeah, that is the Ai200. Something definitely special. It was exciting to see and exciting to be able to hit. But that is the brand new Apex line from Callaway Golf, the Ai300, Ai200, and the Ai200. Pretty amazing set. You guys did a nice job this year. So
Thanks.
we'll be excited to see what the Golf Direct community says, because I know they've been waiting, but I think they're going to be pretty impressed.
I'll
with
be
what
in
they
the
did.
forums checking it out.
That's right. So thank you, Zach. Appreciate the time.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
can't wait to go hit these some more.
Awesome.